Super Smash Bros. Ultimate can't come any faster, and I just can't wait until Super Smash Bros. Ultimate comes out. But until then, all we can really do is talk about the game until it comes out. And there's so much left I need to talk about with this game that I feel needs to be addressed. And one of the things I really want to talk about is the Echo Fighters. Now, I feel like people have some confusion with Echo Fighters. Now, for those who don't know what the Echo Fighters are basically Smash Ultimate's form of clone characters. They're basically characters that, are clones of other characters, but they're labeled as Echo Fighters. And then they have a little Espelon logo. So those are the Echo Fighters. And as of now, there are 3 Echo Fighters that are confirmed for the game thus far. Those being Daisy, Dark Pit, and Lucina. Those are the 3 Echo Fighters. Dark Pit and Lucina are returning from Smash 4, and they're just made as Echo Fighters, while Daisy is a newcomer for this game that is an Echo Fighter of Peach, and, Dark Pit is an Echo Fighter of Pit, and Lucina is an Echo Fighter of Marth. So those are the Echo Fighters. Those are what Echo Fighters are. And I've seen a lot, and I mean a lot, of Echo Fighter videos on all over the internet. People are speculating what are the Echo Fighters going to be, because it broadens the horizons for a whole group of characters that could potentially be in this game. And, it opens the door for people that could not think of movesets for, and they could be characters in this game. However, there seems to be confusion of Echo Fighters that I don't feel people get. And I'm going to explain what the confusion is behind Echo Fighters. In my personal opinion, and what feels like it makes the most sense in my opinion, is that I feel the point of Echo Fighters are supposed to be characters that Sakurai probably feels has no moveset potential, but are characters that people would want to see in Smash. So, now, personally, I hate Daisy, but I know that she has a huge fan audience. I know a lot of people like Daisy. Personally, I hate Daisy, but I know a lot of people do, and I'm pretty sure Sakurai is aware of the love behind Daisy. So, to make those fans happy, it makes sense for Sakurai to add her as an Echo Fighter, and I think she was added as an Echo Fighter simply because, yeah, sure, she has different character traits than Peach, but attack-wise, what could she really do that Peach doesn't do? Like, there's not really a lot you could do with Daisy, and even before she was revealed, I talked about in what Mario characters will get into Smash video of mine, and I talked about, what would Daisy do? Like, if Mario was supposed to have a Mario character to represent the sports titles, I honestly feel like it would be Waluigi, and even then, I feel like Sakurai is trolling us about Waluigi. But stay tuned for another video. Spoilers for a future video in the future. But I think Daisy fits more as an Echo Fighter than an actual character. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, Dark Pit would be an original character. Now that is true, but literally, I would rather have Dark Pit as an Echo Fighter than an actual fighter. And that's because just Dark Pit just feels very similar to Pit. He has like the same weapons as Pit. All that's really different about them is that Dark Pit is an evil version and Pit is a nice version. So Dark Pit is added as an Echo Fighter, and Pit is added, as the main representative of the Kid Icarus series. And Lucina and Marth are practically the same person. Lucina is like the female Marth, it just makes perfect sense as an Echo Fighter of Marth. So, Lucina being an Echo Fighter makes the perfect amount of sense. However, basically, literally all Echo Fighter videos I've seen just give out the worst examples of Echo Fighters I have ever seen in my life. Now, I'm going to bring up the first bit. I'm going to just give up a few bad examples of Echo Fighters that I've heard people bring up, and why they're just bad ideas of being Echo Fighters. Okay, I'm gonna bring up the big one. I'm gonna bring up the big one that everyone, seems to clamor for. Shadow. Literally every video I've seen that predicts Shadow being a character in this game, they say he should be an Echo Fighter of Sonic. Okay, Shadow... What? Okay, Shadow... Okay, yes, I will admit, Shadow and Sonic have some similarities. But key word, some similarities. The majority of differences with Shadow than the similarities are massive. Shadow has more differences to Sonic than they do similarities. Really, the only thing that they're similar with is that Shadow is like a darker version of Sonic, and Shadow is faster than Sonic. I mean, well, not faster than Sonic, just as fast. Sonic's maybe faster, but Shadow is basically up there in speed with Sonic. That is the only similarities with them. Shadow has so many attacks, and if you've seen my moveset Mondays of Shadow, you would understand. He has Chaos Blast, Chaos Control, Chaos Spear. There's a lot you can do with Shadow. The inhibitor rings. There's so much you can do with Shadow than just being an Echo Fighter. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Because, think about it. A lot of Sonic's attacks in Smash 4 are literally spin dashes, or him using the trampoline attack for his up special. If Shadow were to do that, that just wouldn't make sense. Like, could you imagine Shadow just doing a bunch of spin dashes like Sonic, and using the trampoline like Sonic? Shadow does not use those attacks that often in the Sonic games. He's mostly well known for Chaos Control, or anything that involves his aura. Sonic, like, Shadow and Sonic would just not, like, Shadow would just not fit as an Echo Fighter of Sonic in Smash. Now I believe that Shadow is no longer an assist trophy in Smash. I don't know if they would add him as a playable character, because I'm a bit iffy on having 2 characters per franchise, but I'm pretty sure Sakurai would consider it. And I feel like Shadow would just make perfect sense as an actual character rather than an Echo Fighter, because there's just so much you can do with Shadow, and it would just be such a waste just to throw that all away and just add him as an Echo Fighter, when there is so much you can do with Shadow. I swear there's so much you can do with Shadow. But yeah, that's a bad example of an Echo Fighter, and that's an Echo Fighter that Sakurai that should just not add, because it just does not make sense at all. But yeah. Anyways, another bad example of an Echo Fighter is Geno. Now, I've heard some people, not a lot of people, but I've heard some people say that Geno should be an Echo Fighter of Mario or something. I'm like, what? Now, the major difference between Shadow and Sonic is that, okay, always they have some similarities, so I can understand why people may think that Shadow would fit as an Echo Fighter. But Geno and Mario? What similarities do they have? Geno is, first of all, a third-party character, so I feel like he should get proper treatment because he's a very popular third-party character at that. And secondly, Geno is nothing similar to Mario. Like, literally, I've heard some people say that Geno should be an Echo Fighter of Mario. Like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense at all. Like, you can literally grab all of Geno's attacks from Super Mario RPG and throw that into his moveset. There you go, you have Geno. Like, that would not be hard at all. Like, the concept of Geno being an Echo Fighter, like, what? That would not make sense at all. Geno should be an actual fighter, not an Echo Fighter. Like, that's really stupid. I don't really understand why people think that Geno would be an Echo Fighter. Like, what? Another Echo Fighter that I've heard people say, and this is probably the worst one I've heard, and probably, it's so bad, it's funny in my opinion, is Waluigi. And this kind of brings me to my next confusion that people have with Echo Fighters. I'm gonna get there in a second. Waluigi. People, okay, this is what some people are saying. They said that if Waluigi can't be an actual fighter, they said that he should at least be an actual fighter. They said that he should at least be an Echo Fighter of both Luigi and Mario. Now, here's the next confusion. People think that an Echo Fighter could also mean a character like two characters combined into one to make an Echo Fighter. So Luigi and Mario makes Waluigi, and then Waluigi would be an Echo Fighter. Like, what? That'd be a semi-clone, not a freaking Echo Fighter. Like, besides, if Nintendo were to do that, Waluigi would still not be an Echo Fighter because it would be a combination of two characters, which would be different. Like, yes, they would have similarities to other characters, but it'd be different, and it would be different enough to be an actual character. Waluigi being an Echo Fighter? Like, that does not make sense at all. Like, what? Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. I've heard some people say that Waluigi should be an Echo Fighter. I'm like, that just does not make sense at all. So yeah, anyways, the next Echo Fighter is Dixie Kong. That is a bad example. Now, I understand, okay, this one I can understand to an extent why people would think she'd be an Echo Fighter and why Sakurai would actually do that. In fact, I could actually see him doing that. But the thing is that I feel like if you guys watched my Moveset Mondays on Dixie Kong, I talked about that she should be a semi-clone. So yeah, I feel like that would just make the most amount of sense out of Dixie Kong in this game. It would make a whole lot of sense for Dixie Kong to be a semi-clone. Like, she has some similarities, but she's different enough to be her own character. So that's why I feel like Dixie Kong just does not work as an Echo Fighter, because personally I don't see Dixie Kong using the jetpack. I don't see her using the peanut pop gun. I feel like she would use her gumball pop gun instead. Like, that just does not make sense at all. Dixie Kong needs to be her own fighter, but just as a semi-clone. Because, you know, I feel like she would have a lot of similarities with Diddy Kong, but not enough to be an Echo Fighter. Simple as that. Now, I'm going to talk about examples of Echo Fighters that people should consider, and examples of Echo Fighters that are good examples. A good example of Echo Fighters I've heard is Ninten. Yes, Ninten and Ness are different personality-wise, but if you consider the Earthbound games, they play almost exactly alike. And, you know, I don't really see a difference with Ninten and Ness. And in fact, sometimes I honestly confuse Ninten with Ness at times when I play the Earthbound games. They're that similar in character, so I feel Ninten would be a perfect Echo Fighter. And I've heard a lot of people say that Ninten would be an Echo Fighter, and those are the type of Echo Fighters people should be expecting. And besides, Ninten is pretty popular in requests and stuff, so if they were to add another Echo Fighter, I feel Ninten would make a lot of sense. Another Echo Fighter I've heard people say is Miss Pac-Man. Now, this is another good example because, you know, if you guys ever played Pac-Man and the game Miss Pac-Man, they're basically the same thing, except with Miss Pac-Man, you play as a girl rather than a guy, and it's supposedly Pac-Man's wife. So really, there's no difference there. So if they were to add another Echo Fighter, I feel like Miss Pac-Man would be another great option. And yet another good example I've heard is Ken from Street Fighter, being an Echo Fighter of Ryu. I actually think that's a really good idea, and I was kind of on the fence of, you know, we should give third-party characters the proper treatment, but if Sakurai were to add characters like Miss Pac-Man and Ken, like, there would be really nothing to do. And besides, in the Street Fighter games, literally Ken is a clone of Ryu, basically. So, really, it would make a lot of sense for Ken to really have all of Ryu's attacks. Like, it would make a lot of sense if they were to add Ken as an Echo Fighter of Ryu. And it would be the best decision. So, yes, I feel like Ken would fit more as an Echo Fighter than an actual character. However, if you're a Ken fan, I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. And now here's an example of an Echo Fighter that I would personally love to see, just simply because I love Pikmin and because it makes a lot of sense. And someone that I feel people should request more is Louie from Pikmin 2. Okay, Louie, yes, like I said with Ninten and Ness, Louie and Olimar are different personality-wise, but when you play the Pikmin games, there's literally no difference between Olimar and Louie. They play exactly the same. They throw Pikmin, they call Pikmin back. They literally do the same thing, except you play as a different captain. If they were to add Louis, I feel like he would be an Echo Fighter. And I don't really know what else they would do with Louis that is different than Olimar. So, if they were to add Louis as a playable character, I feel like he would be an Echo Fighter rather than an actual playable character. That is just my opinion. So, and this is the last good example I'm going to bring up, is Dark Samus. Dark Samus, literally, there's really not much different between Dark Samus and Samus, except for the fact that Dark Samus is a darker and evil version of Samus. You know, that's really the only difference between Samus and Dark Samus. Other than that, they're really the same when you compare their abilities. You know, they can shoot lasers, they can do a lot of stuff like that, and I feel like if they were to add Dark Samus, she'd be an Echo Fighter. So yeah, those are examples of Echo Fighters people should be bringing up. Not characters like Shadow, or Geno, or Waluigi, or Dixie Kong. Those are not good examples of Echo Fighters. Good examples of Echo Fighters are, like I said, you know, characters like Ninten, Miss Pac-Man, Ken, Louie, Dark Samus, characters like that would be good examples of Echo Fighters. Not what I said for the bad examples. And I feel like that is everyone's confusion with Echo Fighters. So, don't think that just because a character looks similar, like, you know, how Shadow kind of looks similar to Sonic, that means that they're going to be an Echo Fighter. Because Shadow is very different than Sonic, that he could be his own character. So, I don't even want to hear that anymore. Shadow is very unique, very popular. He's just so different than Sonic, and it would just be stupid to add him as an Echo. Like, it actually pisses me off when people say that. It actually irritates me. Like, no! Shadow should not be an Echo Fighter! Like, God, it makes me want to, like, strangle people when they say that. Like, no! But yeah, what are your opinions on Echo Fighters? Let me know in the comments down below who you should be Echo Fighters. And do not say Shadow. Please do not say Shadow. I swear, do not say Shadow. I'm just joking. If you think Shadow was an Echo Fighter, if you think Shadow would fit as an Echo Fighter, let me know in the comments down below. So yeah, tell me your Echo Fighter ideas in the comments down below, and I'd love to hear it. Anyways, this has been Enigma, and peace. See you next time.